Hello, and welcome to your Introduction to Psychology course orientation. I'm Professor Severson, and during this video, I will show you how to navigate the online classroom, which is this whole section here. It might feel like a lot of information, but remember, you can always refer back to this or email me for assistance. The main thing is I don't want you to feel lost in terms of how to find everything. I will show you how to communicate with me via email and go through all of these navigation tabs. This column here is referred to as the news feed. Some instructors might call it the announcements area, but we're all referring to this. And it's very important that you look at this area every time you log in. It's where I communicate with you, sometimes several times a day. But I will post important information. Every Monday you will see a new post from me. I may post any changes to the class, any opportunities. If I see a common question coming through our frequently asked questions forum, question and answer forum, or if I'm seeing a common mistake that several students are making, I will address it here. It's equally important that you check your email every time you log in. And this envelope icon here is where you would find that. And in the same way that this notification has a little orange dot, if you have an unread email, it will show here, and you would just click on it to open your mail. If you want to email me directly, my email address is available to you on the first page of your syllabus, but there is an easier way. Click on the Communication tab, and then click on Class List. Locate my name. You will see everyone in your class on this list. Click the box beside my name and simply click the word email. Put something in the subject line. You can see that it's already populated my email address, so you don't have to type it out. Compose your email. If you and I had prior agreement for some reason that I was going to allow you to submit an assignment via email, this is where you would do it. But for the most part, that's not something that's allowed unless there's a special circumstance. Then you would simply click send, and you're done with that. The syllabus will say that I have up to 48 hours to return your email, but I check it several times a day, so it's unlikely that you would ever have to wait that long. Anytime you are away from the home page of the course, you can always get back to it if you're in any of these tabs, or like now we're in email. All you have to do is click the name of your class and it will bring you right back to the home page. A couple of things I want to point out. Here you can see where it says South Florida State College Bright Space by D2L. That is simply the name of the online learning management system that the college uses. This calendar off to your left is important, but more so I want you to not rely on it as what guides you to what you have due. If I made any errors in setting up any assignments and didn't click the box that says calendar, they won't show there. And it's just not the best way to keep yourself on track. Within this newsfeed are documents that I've linked. And there's another way to get to them, but what I want to point out is that your main syllabus document is here, as well as your course schedule document, which is considered to be part of the syllabus. You will want to pull that up and print it out to know what we're covering each week and what is due. Again, don't rely solely on this. This video will be linked in a couple places as well. It will be linked here. It will have a different title, of course. But this is some general information you need to read. I encourage you to get the Brightspace Pulse app for your phone. It's a great way to keep up with emails and assignment deadlines and things like that. Eventually, as the course goes on, this will become full. And in order to go back and see something that was posted earlier, you would need to click the Show All Items wording down here, and it will take you to previously posted items. So we're going to start here under content. And I want you to notice this says students start here. It's a link to where we're going to go, but I want to show you another way to get there. So I'm clicking content. And I'm going to change my view up here really quick so that it looks the same right now for you. I switched to student mode. And it brings you here. So you would look at table of contents. These down to the left are referred to as modules. And within each one are your course materials, your assignments, links to everything. And when I say course materials, that includes your textbook. It's available to you, as you hopefully know by now. It's available to you via the internet, and it's embedded into your course modules. You are also free to purchase a hard copy, either from the bookstore or a link through the openstacks.org website. The first module it's going to show you is this Student Essentials for Distance Learning, and this is something put together from the college. The instructors don't have any leeway about where this goes or what's in it, and it is very important information, but I'm going to tell you that you don't need to be super familiar with it at the beginning of this class. This next module, entitled Students Start Here, and is visible down here, is literally what it says. You're going to start your coursework here, and this tells you you'll find important documents to be successful, and it tells you when you have finished all of this to go to the week 1 information. So in the Student Start Here module, there'll be a different link for this video. Your syllabus document that was linked at the front, as well as your course schedule. Zoom guidelines, we'll talk about Zoom in a little bit. Just a Word document that says a little bit about classroom navigation. APA citations and references, there's some information there. You are required to cite and provide full references for any material that you use in this course. I have a whole lot of resources for you that I'll be providing, and this document itself has a lot of really good information, including links and just some general information. So I could click this here to go back to the main page, or here to get just back into my module. So I'm going to click the Students Start Here. Discussions, description, and examples gives you some good information about what I'm looking for, as does this. It's kind of an overall guidance sheet for what comprises a well thought out response. This checklist is just what it says. It's nothing that has to be turned in. It's just for you to have for your own reference till you get the hang of your discussions. It's to make sure you've included everything that needs to be included to hopefully get your full points. Rubrics. There are rubrics for everything you have that is graded within the course. I will show you what one looks like, and this one is nicely visible. If you ever pull something open and it looks kind of strange so that you can't even read it, you might click a button that will show up that will say View as Page, and you can certainly always download or print it, and it will look a little more correct. So this is just a Word document, but the actual rubric that will be attached to your assignments is very interactive. So at any point where there's an issue and maybe you lose some points, you will also find I will type in specific feedback there. And if you ever don't earn full points, there's always feedback to explain why. And if at any time the feedback from this sheet, as well as my comments, if it's still not clear to you, just reach out and we can arrange a phone call or a Zoom to go over your specific assignment. But this is basically just a sheet that will be attached to your assignment that tells you where the points are and where you lose points as. And there are different ones. You can see this is for certain drop boxes. There's also one for discussions. So you will want to take a look at that, and they're attached to every assignment as well. rubrics, more information, more information. This won't even be here when you guys log into it. So that's it for that Student Start Here module. This one tells you when it says not chapter specific, this should be changed. Actually, sorry for that little blip. It's correct. But this is just, again, to kind of ease you into it and help you get started. You're going to have a scavenger hunt quiz. That means you're going to, it's open book, and you need to have your course materials in front of you. Your syllabus is going to ask you some syllabus questions as well as some other questions. This is one of the assignments for the week, and I'm going to go over that in a separate video. This is one of your assignments for the week. Tells you all about doing your introduction discussion post. Must be 150 words. Try not to go over 300. Moving forward, for the ones that you have on the chapter and the supplemental materials, you definitely should never have to go over 300. They can, in fact, be answered in 150 words. You always, unless otherwise instructed, you have to reply to a classmate as part of your grade. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So your first introduction discussion, this tells you all of the components. I'm not going to go over every discussion board question that you have, but this first one tells you to introduce yourself, include information about how comfortable you are navigating all this. Maybe it's not your first class and you're super comfortable, or maybe you find it confusing. It's your chance to talk about that, but to get full points, you have to include what's your backup plan, what's your plan B. If you lose internet or your computer stops functioning, you have to have a backup, somewhere else to go, another piece of equipment to use. And then in the discussion, you're going to indicate that you've explored this module. So there will be 3 things in your introduction: your intro, your plan B, and your verification. And you're going to follow those discussions for posting back in the Student Start Here module. And this is to show me that you know how to use the discussion section of the assignments tab, and allow me to get to know you a little bit and for you to get to know your classmates as well. I'm going to randomly just pick a chapter here and click on it. So at the beginning, it will always tell you what course outcomes this covers, which just let you know what we're covering each week, how it aligns with what you will know by the end of the course. So every module is set up the same way. There'll be some information for you. I'm actually going to pick a different one that will have all of your information, your chapter, as well as your assignments. So when it says read chapter 3 in your ebook, it is quite literally a link to the chapter that we will be covering. This tab here actually allows for the passages, the book content, to be read to you, but this tells you the different components of the chapter as well as course outcomes. Nothing you have to do with it, just to be aware this is what we're covering. At the beginning of each module, little snippets of some really fun multimedia videos or games, things that are embedded within your book. So you are free to look at these now or after, but you will see sections within the pages of each module for this particular chapter that will link you to these. So to begin, you're going to just click where it says Intro Biopsychology, and it opens up your book. I encourage you to create an account. I'm set on student mode right now, so I was correct. It's not going to quite allow me to do my login, but I have an account, and so when viewing this after I've already been through it, I've highlighted things. It's very easy. When you have an account, which is free, and they don't try to sell you anything, you just move your cursor and highlight, and it has several colors you can choose. And I find it very helpful for finding important information. It's a great tool to use to be able to review your important points of the chapter. So this just brings you right into the chapter. Every section, 3.1 Human Genetics. These are the textbook author objectives. Here's one of those links that I mentioned. In the beginning of your modules, you will see 2 to 3 links. There are often far more than that within the chapters, but I limited it to 2 to 3. Okay, and that will take you through the chapter. I'm going to, on my computer, go back up here, click this to get back to the home page, and I will pop back in under content. Takes you right back to where you left off. You will see, so here's your book. Here's a study guide / outline for each chapter. They're very good. Has a lot of self-check questions. You are free to use this, but there's no requirement that you use it. They are typically excellent, though. Going back to this tab, if I wanted to go all the way out, I would go here, but I'm just going to go back to the module that we're in, Chapter 3. In addition to the book, then the outline or study guide, there are always PowerPoint presentations as well. And these are created by the publisher. These are not anything that I created for you. Same information, just presented in a little bit different format. So, your book, your study guide, your PowerPoint, and then whatever you have for assignments in any given module, there are always 2 ways to get to them, but the best way to stay on track is to do it through your modules here. So you can see for this week, when Chapter 3 is covered, you have a quiz. It will take you right to it. This tells you an average of 20 multiple choice questions. Any quiz that has additional ones, I will let you know in this area. They're open note, open book. You can refer to the book. That's why it's super helpful to use your highlighter, because as you're going through, you can highlight key concepts. It is timed, so you don't have a lot of time to look everything up. But if you have gone through and read it so that you're familiar with where certain concepts are located, it's going to help you get through the quiz. As I mentioned, they're multiple choice. You cannot surf the internet, and you cannot use AI for any of your quizzes. And the quiz questions, you can take it up to 3 times, but they're randomized questions. So if you elect to take it a second time, you may not get the same questions. What this doesn't say, yes it does, sorry, it will record the highest grade in the grade book. So you're encouraged to try again. If you miss 2 or 3 questions and you really want to strive to get a higher grade, there's no risk in taking it over. If you do worse, it will only put into the grade book your highest attempt. Okay? Then below that, brain mapping, and it tells you right here it's a discussion topic. You have the option to complete this discussion with me and your classmates via Zoom, and you will see the schedule for that. Thursday night, if you really don't want to write on the discussion board, it is a great option to join me and however many of your classmates join, and I'll show you how to do that. And we actually do them together. We talk about them. Everybody has a turn to say what their response is. You really do need to have it written out and ready to go as if you were going to write on the discussion board. But of course you don't need to have citations and references. So you're going to share your information, and then if there are any questions, we can talk about it. It's also a great opportunity to just ask any additional questions about the chapter. But if you do choose to do it on the discussion board itself, you have sort of an extra step. You are required to copy and paste whatever you're going to say in the discussion, which I'll show you, onto a Word document. And then you're going to submit it to the Dropbox that's set up for this. Your submission is going to go through Turnitin, which will Just verify that it's your original thoughts, doesn't have any plagiarism, and no use of AI. You still will need to post your response in the discussion area. Uploading a Word document is just for satisfying the requirement that we verify that it's your original work. You're not going to post an attachment in the discussion area. You're going to write in it, and I will show you that. Begin your post by confirming that you've watched the complete video. This one involves a video right here. You also want to always verify that you've read the chapter. Should be 150 words. Citations and references do not figure into the word count. You will not see, with the exception of your introduction, you won't see your classmates' posts until you compose your response. And sadly, the reason for that is because people wait till the last minute, which doesn't make for good ongoing replies back and forth, but also some people would just simply read what others wrote and compile their answer from that. So this information here is going to be present on every discussion question. The title and your Dropbox, of course, will be different. But then it tells you, here's your question. So you're going to watch the video, which if you click here, it is your video, and this one is called How It Feels to Have a Stroke. In this video, Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, a brain researcher, describes what it was like to experience a stroke. And you can read this for yourself, but it tells you what you need to include. You want to always work in material from the text, and this is pretty specific for you how to do that. Again, it has to be cited and referenced. When you talk about the video or anything from the textbook, you need a citation and a reference. And then at the end of your post, you're going to simply indicate, I have not used any form of AI on this response. In order to post the actual discussion, you're always going to click on the link, and it will take you right into the discussion board. So this is the same information I just quickly went over. Here's your video. Here's the question itself. And to respond to it, you're simply going to click Start a New Thread. And you can say anything in here. You can say Jill's response. And then you're going to type your response in here. It has a nice little word count, so you can tell when you've hit 150. Remember, it does not include your citations and your references, which are going to be included. Your references are going to be at the end. Once you're comfortable with what you've written, you're going to click Post. Once you do that, you will be able to see other student responses and read through them, click on something that resonates with you, and reply to them. Your reply does not have to be 150 words, but it does need to be meaningful. And I'm going to, first I'm going to undo my pop-up blocker here. I'm going to open the rubric that goes with the discussion questions so you can look at it ahead of time. What I'm mainly going to focus on here is what I'm looking for in a reply to a classmate. To get your full points for that, each discussion question is worth 10 points. The classmate reply is worth 2 of those 10. And to get those full points, you can see here that it says that your reply to a classmate is substantive and demonstrates with ideas. That is a typo, and I will fix that before your class starts. But also reflects understanding of your classmate's perspective, thoughtful, and adds to the discussion. So if you were to say something like, great job, I agree, that's nice, but it doesn't really add to the discussion. So for this criterion, the only choices are, it's great, you did it, but it's really not substantive, it paraphrases, or it's just not a great one, and so you don't earn points, or you didn't do one at all. Okay? So that's that. I'm going to go back to the table of contents and just give you an example of another type of assignment. So I clicked on Chapter 2. Same setup. Here's your book. study outline, PowerPoint. This takes you directly to your quiz. For this week, you have some, question that goes with your chapter. It is not to be confused with the little multiple choice questions that you will see within your chapter. This is a specific question crafted for you to address. So this particular one says respond to the following Word document, and for your drop boxes, it's 100 words. 150 for discussions, 100 for Dropbox. And you're going to upload it for submission, and I'll show you how to do that. If you use vocabulary or paraphrase, you have to use your in-text citations, and you'll need to click Add a File and Submit, and I'll show you how to do that. But here's your question for this one. The scientific method is often described as self-correcting and cyclical. Briefly describe your understanding of the scientific method with regard to these concepts. Your explanation should include the major features or steps and key considerations. Okay, this material is all available to you in your text. When you go to the actual Dropbox, which this little icon here lets you know it's a Dropbox. Again, here's your instructions. So you can drag your files in, but I'm just going to show you what it will look like. I'm going to click Upload, and then it's going to ask me what file I'm trying to upload. So I've saved it in my computer as a Word document, just something for a sample. So I've clicked the document, I'm clicking Open. You can see that it's there, so that's your first step, but you're not done. This comment section, you can write something or you do not have to. It's just if you want to say, wow, this was a great question, or this was a hard question, or I hope I got it right. Anything you want to communicate with me, this is a great place, but it's not necessary. And then you have to click Submit. When you've done that, you'll see submitted successfully here, but also I should be getting, and I think I won't get my message alert because I'm logged in as a student, but you would get a receipt from the college that will say it was submitted. Now that doesn't guarantee you did it correctly or anything, but it lets you know that it went through. And if you don't have an email receipt, then you might want to go back through. You can't edit what is already been submitted to the Dropbox, but you can certainly, if you submit the wrong assignment or you forget a reference, you can resubmit something, and I will see all the submissions and I'll just grade whatever the last one was that you did. So no worries about that if you have to make a correction or redo something. And I paused briefly, and there's my email receipt right there. I'm not going to open this up because I have emails from students in there as well, and I need to protect their confidentiality, but it's there. So, again, content and communication are the two main things. This grades tab will be important to you, and I am very good about keeping grades updated 2, 3 in the summer. Sometimes it might take 4 days because there's so much work, but I try to get items graded and back to you in a very timely manner, because there's no way for you to know that you're on the right track, or maybe you need to do things a little differently before your next assignment. You need that feedback. So your quizzes, when I go in Monday mornings and click a couple buttons, your quizzes will figure into your cumulative grade, but you'll always be able to see your quiz scores immediately. And for any assignments that have been graded, you will see them here. Again, I just clicked on the grades. But remember, you will always have feedback. Anything less than full points, your rubric will always be attached, but I will also write additional comments. And it will tell you, there's no grades entered here, of course, for me. So, but it will always tell you your cumulative grade. Your Zoom tab, I don't have any meetings set up because this is like it's called a sandbox. It's where we create, and anything I would schedule wouldn't transfer to yours. But when you are in your classroom, click the Zoom, and you'll see Zooms that are set up. There will be 2 that you can choose from if you want to go over the same information but live. And then there will be one set up weekly if you would like to do your discussion questions that way for the weeks that we have discussions. And again, just a word about Zoom. Anytime we're chatting, either by phone or email, and I say, hey, let's Zoom, it will always be here. If we're going to have a one-on-one, you will see your name and you'll just click on it. There are some guidelines that are noted in that Student Start Here module, but mainly it's that, of course, you need to be on time. You do have to have your video enabled. It has to be turned on. I'm not going to Zoom with you if I can't see you. Your name should be on the screen, but it's not uncommon for people to use someone else's computer, so that might not be accurate. You'll just need to let me know that. You cannot have anyone else in the room with you. I've seen it all, and it's not professional in terms of you being a student. If we were in a face-to-face classroom, you wouldn't have a sibling or your parents or anybody else in there. Dogs and cats, of course, are fine, but just no other people. And it's for a couple of reasons. Again, you wouldn't have them in the classroom, but also particularly if we are doing a group Zoom, then it's not, it doesn't protect the privacy of the other students. So that's just a little thing about Zoom. I'm going back to this main tab. So everything you need is really within here, but I will show you another way to access things. I don't want it to confuse you, and I don't recommend you doing it that way, but I know as a student I'd have to click on everything just to find out, so let me do that for you. The Assessments tab. A lot here that you never need to get into, but if you wanted to see how many quizzes, you can see that all of your quizzes are here. And you can, in fact, access them here if you like. It's better to do it through the Content tab and the individual modules, but nonetheless, these are all your quizzes. The Assignments tab, twofold, your discussions and then all the rest, which are Dropbox assignments. I'm going to click on Discussions, and you can see these are all of your discussions that you have throughout the class. And you are free to access them here. Remember to respond. You're always going to click this top part here, and that will bring you right in. Start a new thread. Put something in the subject line, and there you go. Same for the drop boxes. You can see everything that's here. So another word about drop boxes. You have a couple that are a little different than those questions. In your assignment, assignment descriptions are always in here. Some of them may have videos to go with them too, but your instructions for how to do each one will be right in here. When it says chapter questions, that's kind of self-explanatory. This one is a little different, and you can see that it says attachments. This one is a little different. These are the drop boxes that are attached to all of your weekly questions, and that is for, again, for the purpose of uploading a Word document of your submission so that it can be checked for plagiarism. And these are linked all in your discussions. You don't have to go through them here. They're right in your discussions. The drop boxes automatically go through because I'm able to tie the Turnitin thing to that. A brief mention about Turnitin. It's set up so that you can see your score, but if you're not familiar with it, it might not be all that meaningful. I think the way that it's set up, it will just show you your score, but if you have used a lot of quoted material and appropriately cited it, as well as included enough of your own thoughts to demonstrate that you understand the concept, don't be alarmed if it has a high score. If you use known material, it's going to reflect a high score, but I'm always going to click on it and look and see where it comes from. There are two separate scores, and I believe the only one you'll see is the main Turnitin one, but when I access it, there's a whole separate box that tells me if the work went through, for example, ChatGPT or Willbot or any of the other artificial intelligence things out there. And it's simply It's not allowed. Okay, so that is that. So that's assessments, that, communication we went over, just class list for email. Content is where your modules are. This seems, I'm sure, counterintuitive, but you don't ever want to click on course resources. It's actually just for instructors. I'm not sure why it's visible to students, but there's nothing you need to do. Grades, I showed you. The help tab, you have lots of tutoring options. This gives you little tutorials on everything to do with the course. Sorry. And because I have the system on to record this, it's not going to let me hit my back button. So let me go here. So help just has some written documents on how to get help. The tutoring, you have two options. In the summer, the SFSC Tutoring and Learning Lab is not always open, but it is certainly available throughout the year, and I don't yet know the hours for summer, but they can help you with anything, and you can set it up to do it Zoom or in person. Always available at the Highlands campus. Some of the other campuses, it's just available via Zoom, but they can meet with you and literally help you. Math, science, writing, it's all there. Let's see. Okay. And the other option is tutor.com. That is something that the college has already purchased for you, and every student gets 2 to 3 hours. I'm so sorry, I can't remember what it is at this time, but it's already paid for, and you set up a free account, and this is the section that lets you choose. So this would be social sciences if you need some help with this. If you really like it and you find it's really helpful, and you know you have, I don't know, anatomy and physiology coming up, math, chemistry, and you think you're going to want more help, we can do more accounts for you, and I can walk you through how to do that if you wanted more time in the account, I should say. So that is about it. I'm going to stop here, and there will be a separate video for going over your syllabus information and the assignment document. I hope you found this helpful. If you want a live review, certainly look at the schedule and the email for the times for those. Shoot me an email. If you still feel lost, I'm more than happy to meet one-on-one with you to go over it.